Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Today Leah and I are talking handguns. Which one is the best? Will anybody ever know? Tune in, listen up, and don't forget to subscribe before the show is over so that you don't miss any of our episodes. Hey everybody, welcome to the Mac Outdoors podcast, where a dynamic mother-daughter duo share their adventures, tips, and advice. I am Mia, and I'll be accompanied by the one and only daughter, Leah. It is time to get to outdoors, hunt, shoot, and spend time with family and friends. Let's get this show on the road. Hi everybody, welcome back. Thanks for joining us again. We're happy that you're here. Last week, we joined Leah in a memory and recap of her trip to Gunsight Academy with Remington Arms Company. And this week, a follower on Twitter who is actually an instructor of the Well-Armed Woman, she tweeted to me and she said that we shouldn't be training with 1911 handguns. And if you have followed Remington, you know that their handgun that Leah was shooting with is a 1911. Leah, how did you like that handgun? Did you enjoy it? Did you have a good experience overall, or what did you think?
I liked shooting with it. I haven't really shot with very many other pistols at that time, but it was comfortable fit. I know, like, my biggest struggle is having a grip that fits because I have such long fingers, and I did like the grip on that.
Yeah, and one thing, you did like the grip. We did modify it. She's left-handed, so we added a left-hand safety and stuff like that, which you can do with a 1911. So that is a bonus of a 1911, is you can add that left-hand safety. That's one thing. And over the years, Leah's tried different handguns, and this woman said that 1911s aren't good to train with, but what I suggest is train with what you've got. And we had a 1911 at that class, and that's what you trained with. The experience was the important part. Learning to operate any handgun is important as well. But I think, Leah, didn't you learn in there more about threats and how to handle them?
Yeah, we learned a lot more of a defensive situation, and it wasn't about the pistol. It was about what we would do if we had a pistol with us, if we were getting our house broken into, or a situation like that. It wasn't a handgun training like a beginner class. It was more of
an advanced class. It was more learning how to deal with hostage scenarios, and it made you think a lot about situations, because all of us learn a lot because we see television and Hollywood and movies and stuff. So we see these things on TV, and I wouldn't say we think that's what we're supposed to do, but we see it, so you kind of assume that's what you would do. What have you learned after taking that class? Like, I'm asking because I've heard you mention comments and watching TV shows or movies, but what's one thing that you think movies have wrong or television has wrong?
I think there's a lot of things. Probably the most common is how the gun is held. I know a lot of us noticed that. And since taking Gunsight, I have also noticed a lot of it from the defensive side and opening doors, clearing houses, just in like police movies or those crime scene investigating ones, stuff like that, that they just burst into the doorway and just assume no one else is there.
Right. They like burst in, and you said how they hold the gun. They burst in with their finger on the trigger, pointed at their partner most likely, but
yeah.
And why should we not do that? I mean, the finger off the trigger is one of the 4 safety rules. So we know that, like, keep your finger out of the trigger guard. Why should you not burst in a door?
I learned not to just burst in a door because the door, if someone was sitting there waiting for you to open the door and you opened it and walked in, they're going to shoot you right away before you spot them more than likely.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you burst in a door not knowing what's on the other side, where they already know where you're going to be.
Yeah, you only have one little vantage point. Yeah. You have the little doorway, and that's all they have to watch, where you have to scan the whole room to figure out where the person is.
Yeah, and who knows whether lights are on or off, or shadows, or who knows what it's going to look like in there. So
right.
That's a really good point from Hollywood. They should take your advice. Be a little slow to barge into a room. What is something else you can think of that you've noticed? Is there any other things they should do differently?
I think the only other big one that I noticed is when they do draw their gun, it's automatically finger on the trigger and they're going to shoot at someone, where it's not like they don't know if that person is good or bad when they're going in, because who knows if the building they're going in is empty or what, but they're pointing a loaded firearm at a civilian that could or could not be the bad guy in the situation, and with their finger on the trigger, you know, and if someone scared them from behind them and they accidentally pulled the trigger on a person that was just standing
innocent
by.
Bystander.
Yeah,
that's a really good point too. You got to be careful. So that just makes me think of the 4 rules of firearm safety, and hopefully everybody who's listening knows the rules. And do you remember the rules? Rule number 1 is treat every firearm as though it's loaded. And that's a really good rule, because if you treat every gun as though it's a loaded firearm, you'll never be pointing it at something you don't intend to shoot, and there will never be any what some people call accidents and I call incidents. So there wouldn't be an incident where something or someone got shot that shouldn't get shot. And another rule is to keep the muzzle pointed in a safe direction. And that refers back to what I just said with rule number 1. The next rule is to keep your finger off of the trigger, but not just off the trigger, and to keep it out of the trigger guard. And you want to do that because some people like to keep their finger in the trigger guard and press up against it without their finger actually on the trigger. But what could happen if you're clearing a house? What if you trip over a toy in the room or something? Your finger's inside the trigger guard, and you can have an accidental discharge that way as well. And then the last one is know your target and what's beyond. And that one is a big deal. Just like you said, if on television they're bursting in a room and they're just shooting, do they know if there's a baby crib on the other side of the wall of where that person's at? So those are big rules that I wish Hollywood would take note in their sets and post the rules on the walls, so that even though they may not be real guns, they would know what to do with them.
Yeah.
Treat them like they're real guns. Something else, this year at SHOT Show, and Leah's gone to other shooting ranges when she's shooting trap and sporting clays and different things, but she's gotten to try different handguns at different shooting ranges, not just shotguns. This year, you've tried several handguns at the Babes with Bullets camp, at Gunsight, at our house, and as I said, when you were with friends shooting over the weekends. What's your favorite handgun so far?
I think one of my favorites is the Springfield. It really fits my hand well, and surprisingly, I don't really know why, but a lot of handguns that I shoot will not cycle when I shoot. And yes, a lot of people say it's my grip, but it works just fine with the same grip using the Springfield rather than these other handguns that just like Beretta. He said we never had that problem at SHOT Show, and it would not cycle.
And at SHOT Show, that's a difficult place to determine whether a semi-automatic handgun is going to cycle or not, because there's so many rounds going down range. Really, they probably need to be cleaned more during the day, but obviously a lot of those handgun companies don't have time to break down a semi-auto and clean it. One thing that I noticed with Leah is she likes the Springfield XD, but the XDS didn't fit her. And that, as she mentioned, she has really big hands. The XDS is slim, so that didn't fit her as well. And that's something people are always asking. What handgun should I buy? What handgun should I get? And it's all about the one that fits you and the one you like. And as she mentioned, she's had different handguns that they fail to cycle. They're not, the slide's not operating, and yes, it can be her grip, as she said, but she's tried several, and that Springfield XD, and she was shooting 9mm, it cycles great. So if you have a chance to try different ones, it's a great opportunity to learn what you like. And what about revolvers, Leah? Do you like revolvers? Have you found one of those that fits your hand or no?
I haven't shot a whole lot of revolvers. I know I'm kind of someone that likes the old-timey cowboy pistols, stuff like that. I know we have a little .22 one that I love to shoot, but...
Yeah, and that's a Ruger Bearcat, and that .22.
Yes, I love that one.
And it's a single action. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like those a lot, but I know shooting some that you have, I'm not a huge fan of. Just preference.
Yeah, they're all different, you know.
Yeah. What about you guys? What kind of caliber do you shoot or like to shoot? And even what you think is good for personal defense. So any of you that are following us on social media, be sure to share with us the calibers you like to shoot, and if you like semi-auto or revolver, what your thoughts are on that. And our social media is Mia Anstein on Instagram and Twitter, Facebook, and mine is Leah Huntress on Instagram and Twitter, and Facebook is Leah Leggett. Let us know what your favorites are.
Yeah, guys, we'd be really happy to hear what you think and what your experience has been. Let us know, as Leah mentioned, on our social sites. We'll put links in the show notes for you to make it easy to find us. And we look forward to hearing from you. Also, let us know what firearms courses you've been to and which ones you would recommend. We look forward to hearing from you. Until next week, have fun.
Thanks for tuning in.